Does anybody ever address the kind of issues or dimensions of power in the discussion of democratizing data? Because, for instance, if you make data free and accessible to everyone, the capacity for just the average person or citizen who who's confronted with, for instance, a water-related conflict, to understand what that data means or to put it together in a meaningful way, or even to know that it exists, might be a lot less than somebody or an institution that has a lot more power, who potentially could, use that data for like their own advantages, potentially.
See, we need to look at this issue at different levels, I think. See, there are certain, it is also the way you present the data. Now, if you present the data in a form and shape in which other people can understand that, then there's no use. So you can also present and give the data to people in a certain way in which they can understand and engage with that.
Yeah.
Or even, it need not be printed. You can have other visualizing data in a different manner. And that sort of thing. The second issue is that even if you do it and things, I'm not saying that in a village all the 100% people will be engaged with the data, no. But there may be few enlightened people within those villages who are educated, who are some outside exposure, who can understand this. And they can be the interface with the people.
Yeah.
So the problem is that unless you do this, even that does not take place. Okay. And the third is that if there is a good, let's say, civil society organization or even academic institution, which is working in that area and type of thing, who can also play the role of an interface between the hard scientific data, putting it into a type of thing. And data is also not a one-way process. It's not that a scientific institution collects the data and then gives back to the, it's not that. People also need to be involved in the data collection. That's how you can create much larger data sets actually. Today in India what happens is that there are a whole lot of micro data which is created through participatory methods like participative rural appraisal and other type of thing. Like every watershed development, which is a very massive program in India, has to collect a lot of biophysical data, rainfall, your landforms, your slopes, soils, agriculture, land use pattern, various other type of thing. It has to create a lot of demographic data, it has to collect a lot of socioeconomic data, a whole lot of things. Now this data is collected in a way and put in a way it's very difficult to aggregate them. So each village may have some data type of thing, but to get a larger picture of a, let's say, larger unit, it becomes very difficult because the way the data is collected, put it in type of a thing is in a very one-on type of a basis. So what we are trying to say is that if you can integrate this micro level data which is collected through more participatory methods and your other larger data sets which is collected through scientific methods or satellite imagery and various other, we can bring through a certain common platform that enriches the data to a great extent. Today, for example, the satellite collects data, about the land use and other type of thing. A lot of data is their imagery. People can't, or a lot of things are put into GIS and various other type of things. Now, people can't do anything with this data because it's alien to them. And you need a very specialized people. Now, in our office also, maybe one or two people can understand those data. So, leave alone people. Now, these two never meet. The data which is collected through more scientifically and the data which is collected through participatory methods which are actually don't meet actually. They sit in two different realms. Now what we are saying that we are using a method called participative resource mapping in which we are using cadastral maps. Cadastral map is the map which is available in each village which has got a scale. So we are using those maps to collect a lot of data. So once you have a cadastral map which is a scale, then that can be geo-referenced and taken to a GIS platform. So then that becomes the data collected that way can become, you can aggregate across different units and make it, you can also larger picture. So that has been one of the areas which we have been working. And since most of this data which is collected has come through the people and the people are involved in, we go to each plot for example with the farmer and the neighboring farmers, discuss each of the issues. There's a very interesting methodology we worked out. So people are also part of the whole data generation. Then when you discuss the issues of that particular plot, then people say what are the major problems in that plot and what could be done and things. So that also involves a certain action plan. So it's not just a question of data for the sake of data. So but then you collect those data with a lot of energy and time and resource and type of thing, then it becomes available to aggregation at a larger, like sub-basin level, aggregates these type of things, or at a sub-basin level and type of a thing. So we are saying that unless you come with new methods of this type of data collection in which maps can be, otherwise in PRA what you do is that people just draw a map. It has no scale, nothing of the sort. So it doesn't mean anything. It gives a qualitative picture, but if you need a quantitative understanding of some of these type of things, then you need to have a certain type of design. So where academic institutions like can play a big role in designing, robust models. The model can people hack and hack. Otherwise, you have a lot of hydrology models today, which are very sophisticated, data-hungry type of models. Unless you have that type of data, it doesn't run.
Yes.
And India is a place where you don't have that type of data. So you need to build up all type of things. So that is, I would say, in a way, broadly democratizing data.
Understood.
To that extent,
Yes.
So, if that is done, I think probably it will do a change. Then people start to ask questions. Now we did a very simple exercise. We had a network project on research on watershed development, and SOPPECOM was one of the major institutions in that. 3 institutes were part of it. So the government is spending a whole lot of money today in watershed development. Now if you go to any government department saying that, tell me how many projects you have or how much money being spent in Maharashtra on watershed development, nobody knows. Because the program is implemented through different agencies, different ministries, NGOs do their own work, nobody has. So we spent some money and put type of things. So we collected data from Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Karnataka. And we prepared a JS-based package in which you have a layer up to Tehsil level and all the data like how many projects have been taken up, what is the area treated, who are the project implementation agencies, when did this project start. All this information is there in that. So any researcher, anybody who wants to know what is happening in Madhya Pradesh on watershed development, you can just put the CD and get this information.
Yeah.
And can also ask queries saying that show up Tehsils which has got, let's say, more than 30% area developed or treated under the watershed program, it will show up. So that is a tremendous this one, because we are getting now this CD was program was developed maybe about 5 or 6 years back. But now I get emails saying that please send me your CD because I'm a researcher, I'm doing my PhD, I need to understand what's happening in Madhya Pradesh, for example.
Yeah. And does the data in the CD was created up to 2005 or 2006?
2008 or 9. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, up to pretty late. Yeah.
Okay.
So if we put that in the public domain or information is there, then people know, wow, so much is happening, it's supposed to happen in Maharashtra. Let me go and check a couple of projects, what's happening. People can do that. Once I have the information so that, okay, these are the places where watershed development is supposed to take place.
Yes.
Then I can just pick on, let's say, sample about, let's say, 2% and say, let me have a quick look at this, what's happening. Then that will throw up what's happening. Where the money is going, whether people are siphoning of money under the name, actually whether the area is getting treated, what is the status of the type of structures you have created. So that will create more transparency. I mean, it can bring in, if you use data well and bring it in the public domain, then it can bring in more transparency and accountability to some extent. So that's why we feel that this is an important thing, and data related to water has been a black hole basically. Because now because of right to information things you apply under Right to Information Act, then you get some data. Otherwise it's very difficult to get data. Unless you have people's movements and you struggle, you organize agitations and things, then they are forced to give you data. But otherwise it's keep us a secret. I mean, people used to say that you can't even get a topo sheet in India, but you can get the same topo sheet for India, whatever type of area in the US. That is the way it is.
Yes.
Yeah, so